The sun baked the sprawling Texas Air Base, its heat radiating off the tarmac in shimmering waves. Pilots bustled between hangars, flight crews shouted orders, and the engines of F-35s and Raptors hummed like restless predators. Amid the chaos, Emily Rhodes walked quietly across the runway, her olive-green jumpsuit plain and unmarked, her stride calm and unhurried. To most, she was simply another face at the base, a civilian flight simulator instructor who drilled rookies on basic aviation skills. She never raised her voice, never boasted, and never hinted at the life she had before this. Few knew the truth. Emily had once been a legend. 5 years ago, under the call sign Ghost Hawk, she was among the Air Force's top combat pilots. Name whispered with awe among fighter squadrons. She'd flown missions no one dared talk about, missions that never made it into the news or official records. Ghost Hawk was the shadow you sent into enemy skies when failure wasn't an option. But fame, even silent fame, came with a price. Her final mission ended in fire and chaos, leaving scars too deep to show. When she walked away from combat, she vowed never to climb into a cockpit again. Instead, Emily buried herself in a quieter life. She instructed recruits, training them on flight simulators that mimicked the complexity of modern jets, but without the danger. Her teaching style was patient, calm, almost detached. The rookies respected her, though they found her mysterious. "You've flown before, haven't you?" One trainee asked once, noticing the effortless way Emily demonstrated aerial maneuvers. She'd only smiled, brushing the question away. No one suspected that the quiet woman guiding them had once flown with lethal precision across war-torn skies. That morning started like any other. Emily sipped her black coffee in the simulator control room, watching 3 nervous recruits struggle through basic aerial dogfight exercises. "Your throttle's too stiff," she murmured to one of them through the headset. "Loosen your grip. Feel the aircraft respond. You're not wrestling it, you're dancing with it." Her tone was steady, almost meditative, as if she wasn't really there, but somewhere far above the clouds. Then, the alarm sounded. It started as a feint. Siren, easily ignored at first. But then the klaxons roared, and the base's calm rhythm shattered. The intercom blared with sharp urgency. Unidentified aircraft approaching restricted airspace. All active pilots report to their stations immediately. Emily's coffee slipped from her fingers, shattering against the floor. From the window, she could see base personnel erupting into motion. Pilots sprinted toward hangars. Engineers scrambled to prep jets for launch. Radios crackled with tension. Emily stood frozen, watching the chaos unfold. Something about the tone of the alarm gnawed at her gut. It wasn't just a drill. She'd heard alarms like this before, back when lives were seconds away from being lost. "Emily, you need to head to the bunker," a young airman shouted as he rushed past her. She nodded silently, though her feet didn't move. Instead, she found herself drawn toward the main control tower, curiosity and unease pushing her forward. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was electric with fear. Large monitors displayed a blip moving rapidly across the radar screen. A voice called out, "Unidentified drone moving at Mach speeds, closing in on civilian airspace. Estimated time to breach, 10 minutes. Get the Raptors up there now." The base commander barked, his face flushed with urgency. "Sir," another officer replied, panic creeping into his tone. "We've got a problem. Raptor 1's pilot just collapsed, possible seizure. He's out cold. And Raptor 2 is grounded due to an engine fault. We don't have anyone prepped to take their place." The commander slammed his fist against the table. "We need a pilot now." Emily's pulse quickened. She shouldn't be here. She wasn't part of this world anymore. But her instincts, sharpened from years of combat, screamed at her to act. Her eyes locked on a tactical display. The rogue drone was moving fast, its trajectory aimed dangerously close to a populated area. Every second they hesitated could mean disaster. An older officer, scanning emergency rosters, froze. "Sir, I know someone who might be able to fly." His gaze shifted toward Emily, who was standing quietly at the back of the room, trying to blend into the chaos. The commander turned, his eyes narrowing. "Her? That's the simulator instructor." "She's not just an instructor," the officer sighed almost reverently. "She's Ghost Hawk." The room went silent. Emily felt every pair of eyes on her. Her throat tightened. Ghost Hawk. She hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in years. It felt like a ghost rising from the grave, dragging her past into the present. "You?" the commander asked, disbelief flickering across his face. "You flew Echo Squadron?" Emily said nothing. She could feel the weight of memories pressing on her chest. She'd sworn she'd never fly again, not after what happened on her last mission. The faces of her lost squadmates haunted her every night. Climbing back into a cockpit felt like opening a wound that never healed. But the drone on the radar didn't care about her pain. It didn't care about her promises. It was coming, and they were running out of time. The commander's voice softened. "We don't have anyone else." Emily's heart pounded. She looked at the radar, then at the young recruits standing frozen in fear. They were too inexperienced for this. She was the only one who could stop what was coming. She drew a slow breath. "Prep the Raptor," she said, her voice steady. The command tower was a storm of movement and sound, voices clashing with the shrill beeps of warning systems. Emily stood still in the middle of the chaos, her decision already echoing in the room like a gunshot. "Prep the Raptor," she'd said, and now there was no taking it back. Technicians scrambled to ready the F-22, their boots pounding against the polished floors of the hangar. It had been years since Emily had felt this weight, the kind of moment where hesitation could cost lives. The commander glanced at her, his eyes measuring her in silence. "Do you still remember the controls?" he asked quietly, almost as if afraid she would say no. "Once you've flown a Raptor," Emily replied, her voice firm, "you never forget." The officer who recognized her as Ghost Hawk stepped closer. "You saved an entire strike team over Kandahar. If anyone can stop that drone, it's you." She didn't answer. Memories of Kandahar flashed in her mind. Sunset over burning fields, the sharp rattle of anti-aircraft fire, and the screaming voice of her wingman over the comms before the signal cut out. Her jaw tightened. She wasn't flying for glory this time. This was about saving lives. Outside, the runway was a frenzy. Mechanics rushed around the Raptor, checking hydraulics, fuel, and weapon systems with frantic precision. The air shimmered with heat, mixing with the acrid smell of jet fuel. Emily walked toward the jet, her boots crunching against the gravel. Every step felt heavier than the last. "Mom, you're cleared for launch in 5 minutes," a young technician said, handing her the helmet. He stared at her with wide eyes, like a rookie meeting a living legend. Emily nodded, but didn't smile. Legends didn't save people, actions did. Meanwhile, the radar screens told a darker story. The rogue drone had increased speed, weaving through restricted zones like a predator testing boundaries. It wasn't an ordinary reconnaissance drone. It was military grade, possibly autonomous, and equipped with weapons capable of catastrophic damage if it reached populated areas. Estimated time to urban breach 8 minutes. An officer called out, "We're out of time." "Ghost Hawk, we're counting on you," the commander said over the intercom, his tone both hopeful and tense. Emily climbed the ladder into the Raptor's cockpit. Her fingers brushed the smooth canopy as memories assaulted her, her first solo flight, her first kill, and the last time she flew under fire. She lowered herself into the seat, the harness straps pressing against her chest as if they could hold back her racing heart. The cockpit displays lit up with a familiar glow. Systems online. A mechanic confirmed through her headset. She placed her hands on the controls, and for a moment, the world disappeared. The roar of the base, the tension of the officers, it all faded. The cockpit was her sanctuary. The hum of the engines beneath her sent a shiver through her spine. She wasn't Ghost Hawk yet, but the old instincts were waking up. "Mom, drone visuals uploaded to your HUD," the technician said. Her helmet's visor displayed the rogue aircraft, a sharp, angular design, weaving across the skies with robotic precision. "Understood," she replied. Her voice was calm, but her pulse thumped like a war drum dot as the engine spooled up. Recruits gathered near the hangar's edge, staring at her like they were watching a ghost return to life. "She's just an instructor," one whispered. "Not anymore," another muttered. "That's Ghost Hawk." The Raptor rolled toward the runway, guided by a ground crewman waving fluorescent sticks. Emily's breathing slowed as she prepared for takeoff. Each step of the checklist felt like a ritual she'd performed 1,000 times. "Ghost Hawk, you are clear for immediate launch," the control tower announced. Emily pushed the throttle forward. The engine screamed, and the jet surged down the runway, gaining speed. Her grip tightened on the controls, and as the ground fell away beneath her, something inside her clicked into place. The fear melted. The hesitation vanished. She was flying. Again truly flying. From the control tower, all eyes were fixed on her radar blip as it streaked into the sky. "She's climbing fast," an officer said, his voice laced with awe. "She's moving like she's part of the jet." "She is," the older officer replied softly. "Ghost Hawk was born for this." The drone appeared on her HUD as a glowing red icon. It moved like a predator, shifting unpredictably. Emily tilted. The Raptor's wings chasing the rogue signal. The jet's responsiveness thrilled her. It was as if the machine remembered her touch. She pushed higher into the clouds, the sky turning from blue to a steel-gray canvas. "This thing's fast," she muttered. "Ghost Hawk, do not engage until you have visual confirmation," the commander instructed. "Copy that," she said. But part of her already knew this wouldn't be easy. The Raptor's sensors pinned the drone was only miles away now. Emily's breath slowed. She needed to predict its movement, not just follow it. Her eyes narrowed, scanning the patterns. On her radar, "It's not flying randomly," she murmured. "It's testing me." "What do you mean?" The commander asked. "This isn't just a drone. It's controlled or programmed to think like a pilot." Emily's hand hovered over the weapon switch. The machine within her awakened. She felt alive again, the blood rushing through her. Veins like fire. "Ghost Hawk, do you have eyes on the target?" "Almost," she replied, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "But tell them to clear the skies. This isn't a drill anymore." The Raptor sliced through the clouds like a blade, its engines roaring as Emily banked left, aligning with the rogue drone's trajectory. The sky stretched endlessly ahead of her, blue and merciless. Inside the cockpit, her HUD blinked with alerts, enemy movements, shifting wind patterns, and the faint echo of incoming data streams. The drone wasn't ordinary. Its speed, precision, and erratic patterns told Emily one thing. Whoever designed it wanted it to outthink human pilots. "Ghost Hawk. Status?" The commander's voice cracked over the comm. She hesitated. That name, Ghost Hawk, echoed through her headset like a whisper from the past. She'd tried to bury that call sign years ago. Ghost Hawk was the one who made split-second impossible decisions. The one who danced on the knife edge of death and lived. Emily Rhodes wasn't Ghost Hawk anymore, or at least she'd convinced herself of that. But now, Soaring at Mach speeds with danger just miles ahead, she felt that old fire. Rising again. Ghost Hawk, do you copy? The commander repeated. Her fingers tightened around the controls. Copy. I have radar lock on the target. It's faster than any drone I've seen. Stay sharp, he warned. Civilian airspace reach in less than 6 minutes. Voice of the older officer came through the comm line, low and steady. You still have it, don't you? Emily didn't answer, but her heart raced. She remembered her last mission, the one that ended Ghost Hawk's career. A Black Ops mission gone wrong. An ambush in enemy skies. The loss of her wingman Mark Falcon Hayes still haunted her dreams. She could still hear his voice screaming over the radio as fire engulfed his jet. It was the moment she'd decided she could never fly again. But now, with every second that ticked by, she felt Falcon's voice pushing her forward. The drone came into view, a sleek, angular beast of black metal, cutting through the clouds with inhuman precision. It wasn't just flying. It was hunting. Visual confirmed, Emily said. This isn't just a surveillance drone. It's combat ready. Engage if necessary, the commander replied, tension sharp in his tone. But don't take unnecessary risks. Your priority is to keep it from crossing into the city's airspace. Emily almost laughed. Unnecessary risks? Combat didn't work that way. Every move was a gamble. And Ghost Hawk, she'd always been the one to bet everything on. The impossible shot. The drone jerked sharply upward, spinning into a maneuver so abrupt that Emily's breath caught. It wasn't just fast, it was calculating her responses. She rolled the Raptor hard to the left, following its movements with precision. Her jet responded like an extension of her body, each twitch of the controls flowing seamlessly through her. Hands. Ghost Hawk, your vitals are spiking, the technician monitoring her said. Are you okay? I'm fine, Emily said curtly. I need full radar clearance, no interference. The commander's voice broke in. We've cleared the zone. You're alone out there. Good, she muttered, eyes locked on her target. On the ground, the control room was silent, except for the hum of monitors. Recruits who had once dismissed Emily as just a simulator instructor now watched her in awe. Her movements on the radar were unlike anything they'd seen, sharp, deliberate, almost artistic. She's unreal, one of them whispered. She's Ghost Hawk, the older officer said, a note of pride in his voice. I saw her fly missions that should have been impossible. This isn't training for her, it's survival. The recruits leaned closer, their eyes wide as Emily's Raptor pulled a high G-turn to dodge a sudden burst of fire from the drone. Whoa! An officer in the tower exclaimed. That thing's armed. Emily's breathing slowed, but her thoughts sharpened like steel. This isn't an ordinary drone, she confirmed. It's eye-controlled and equipped with live ordnance. Someone sent it here with intent. The commander cursed under his breath. You take it down, Ghost Hawk. That's an order. Roger. That, she said, as she climbed higher. Emily felt the weight of her past pressing down on her chest. She'd walked away from the Air Force after Falcon's death because she believed her instincts had failed. But now, in this sky filled with danger, those instincts were alive again, guiding her every move. Her fingers hovered over the weapons panel. She armed the jet's missiles, but she didn't fire yet. Patience, she whispered to herself. Just like old times? The drone dived toward her, moving with shocking agility. Emily rolled upside down, her Raptor slicing through the dive with a maneuver that made her stomach churn. At that moment, something clicked in her mind. She wasn't Emily Rhodes, the quiet instructor, anymore. She was Ghost Hawk. The sky belonged to her. Target locked, she said softly, eyes narrowing. Take the shot, the commander urged. Not yet, she replied, waiting for the perfect angle. Her breathing slowed. The world shrank to the glowing dot on her. HD. Her finger hovered over the trigger. Then, a memory hit her, a flash of Falcon's last words. "Ghost, you're the only one who can pull this off." She clenched her jaw. "I won't fail this time." The drone suddenly veered left, breaking her lock. Emily cursed and pulled hard on the stick, following it with a maneuver that pressed her body into the seat. Adrenaline surged through her veins. Every second was a battle of wits, hers against the AI's relentless algorithms. 5 minutes to breach. The control tower warned. Emily's voice was cold and sharp as a blade. "Not if I can stop it." She pushed the Raptor faster, her determination burning like fire. The chase had just begun. Emily's Raptor roared through the skies as if it sensed her urgency. Every second counted. The rogue drone was less than 20 miles from civilian airspace. The control tower's tense updates echoed in her headset, but she blocked them out. Her focus narrowed until there was nothing but the drone's erratic silhouette and the silent hum of her own breathing. On the ground, the base commander paced like a caged tiger. "Status?" He barked. "She's still in pursuit." The radar officer said, his voice shaky. "The drone's maneuvers. They're almost human." "She's not backing down," the older officer added. "She never does." Emily adjusted her altitude, chasing the drone through jagged cloud banks. Her instincts screamed that this machine was learning from her moves, anticipating them like a seasoned pilot would. "This isn't random programming," she muttered. "It's responding to me. Thinking? The commander repeated over the comm. "I've seen opponents like this," she said coldly. "But they weren't made of metal." She needed to be smarter, faster, and bolder than she'd ever been. Ghost Hawk wasn't about brute force. She was about unpredictability. She cut her throttle, causing the Raptor to stall briefly before she dove, flipping the script on the drone's tracking system. For a few tense seconds, it lost sight of her dot, then she struck ascending like a bullet beneath its blind spot, her HUD lighting up with a missile lock. "Ghost Hawk, fire!" The commander ordered. Her finger hovered over the trigger, but something stopped her. "Negative. Too close to civilian zones. I'll draw it back toward open sky." She pushed the Raptor into a near-vertical climb, her chest compressing under the G-force. Her teeth clenched, but her mind remained crystal clear. The drone followed, spitting out a burst of counterfire, rapid streams of tracer rounds designed to scare her off. Emily didn't flinch. She rolled hard to the right, then dropped altitude sharply, letting the bullets sail harmlessly into the empty air. "Holy!" a recruit whispered, watching from the ground. "She's flying like Ghost Hawk," the older officer said with a smirk. "Told you." In the cockpit, Emily's body strained, but adrenaline drowned out the pain. It felt like old times, like those wild days when she ruled the sky with nothing but instinct and firepower. A voice whispered in her mind, Falcon's voice. "Stay with it, Ghost. Don't think. Feel." Her jaw tightened. "I know," she murmured, drone's trajectory shifting. The radar tech shouted in the tower. "It's trying to flank her." Emily anticipated the move before the warning even came. She cut power for half a second, then slammed the throttle forward, spinning the Raptor in a corkscrew maneuver that lined her directly behind the drone. She smiled faintly. "Got you?" But just as she prepared to fire, the drone performed an impossible move, folding its wings to create a steep aerodynamic drop before rocketing back upward. Emily's lock was gone. "Damn it," she hissed. Her chest rose and fell sharply. Whoever had designed this machine wasn't just good, they were dangerous. 3 minutes to breach, the commander said grimly. Emily closed her eyes for a second, steadying her breath. She had one chance to lure the drone away. She tilted, the Raptor flying directly into the sun's glare. The drone followed, but the bright light distorted its sensors, giving her a brief edge. She looked sharply downward, doubling back toward the ocean instead of the city. "Ghost Hawk, what are you doing?" "Buying us time," she replied. "If it follows me, I can neutralize it over open water. No collateral damage." The commander hesitated, then sighed. "You're calling the shots now. Just don't die out there." The recruits on the ground were glued to the monitors, watching Emily's chase unfold in silence. Every maneuver she pulled seemed impossible, defying what they'd been taught in training. "Is this even real?" One whispered. "Real as it gets," the older officer muttered. "You're watching the best pilot alive." Emily cut altitude again, skimming dangerously close to the water. The drone stayed on her tail, its sleek body slicing through the sky like a predator. She could hear Falcon's voice again. "When you're outmatched, flip the script. Make them chase your shadow." She narrowed her eyes. "All right, Falcon, let's dance." She dropped flares, creating a trail of heat signatures that confused the drone's sensors. It veered momentarily, scanning for her real location. Emily seized the moment, banking hard to the left and climbing steeply to gain the high ground. From above, she locked onto it again. The tone of the lock-on alarm filled her helmet. "Target acquired," she said. "Take the shot." The commander ordered. Emily's finger trembled over the trigger, but she hesitated again. A single missile would destroy the drone, but if she missed or it detonated too close to the coastline, the fallout could be catastrophic. "No," she whispered. "Not yet. I can bring it further out." She switched off her comm channel momentarily, muting the tower's protests. This wasn't their fight anymore. It was hers. The drone looped around, chasing her back over the endless blue water. Emily's vision tunneled on its movements. She felt alive again, terrifyingly alive. "Ghost Hawk," she said to herself. "You've still got this." The world shrank to a thin line of horizon as Emily dove hard, her F-22 Raptor screaming across the sky. The Gi forces pressed her into the seat, her lungs straining against the crushing pull of gravity. Her gloved hands were steady on the controls. No tremor, no hesitation. This was where she belonged, though she'd tried to deny it for years. The rogue drone stayed close, matching her maneuvers with unsettling precision. "This thing isn't just fast," she muttered, eyes scanning the HUD. "It's reading." "Ghost Hawk status?" The commander's voice broke through the headset. "Still in pursuit," she replied. "It's like fighting a phantom." The drone tilted into a sharp climb, almost vertical, its angular body cutting through the clouds like a knife. Emily didn't hesitate. She pulled the Raptor into a climb just as steep, the engines roaring. Her chest felt like it was being crushed, but she didn't back off. Every move she made felt calculated, instinctive, a dance between predator and prey. On the ground, recruits and officers stared at the radar, holding their breath as her signal spiraled and looped like a fighter pilot's sketchbook come to life. "She's unreal," one recruit whispered. "Unreal?" The older officer smirked. "She's Ghost Hawk." Emily switched her weapons system online, the panel lighting up with a quiet hum. "Targeting mode active," she muttered. A missile lock warning blinked on her HUD, and for a split second, she thought it was hers, until a shrill alarm screamed through her headset. The drone had locked onto her. "Damn," she hissed. She banked hard to the right, diving through the clouds as the drone fired. A missile streaked past her left wing, close enough to rattle the jet. The heat from the explosion washed across her canopy. Her breath caught in her throat, but her hands never faltered. "You want to play dirty?" she growled. "Fine, let's play." In the control tower, chaos erupted. "It's firing at her." A radar tech shouted, "Do we have intercept options?" The commander demanded, "Negative." Ghost Hawk's the only one close enough, another officer said. If she fails. He didn't finish the sentence. The room fell into an uneasy silence, all eyes on the monitors as the chase escalated. Emily pushed the Raptor faster, the engines howling as she dropped flares to confuse the drone's targeting system. The bright bursts of heat distorted the drone's sensors, buying her seconds precious, fleeting seconds. She rolled the Raptor into an inverted dive, the earth spinning dizzyingly beneath her. Locking onto me won't save you, she whispered, her eyes narrowing, her HUD flickered. The drone was trying to jam her radar. Emily's lips curled into a smirk. You're clever, but not clever enough. She flicked a switch, switching to manual targeting. Her fingers danced over the controls with the precision of a surgeon. Years of training came rushing back every high-stakes mission, every life-or-death decision. Ghost Hawk, talk to me. The commander barked. I've got it, she said, her tone razor-sharp. Trust me. The drone cut low across the oceans, surface skimming the waves. Emily followed, the Raptor slicing through the air like a predator closing in. Saltwater mist kissed the underside of her jet as she tightened her pursuit. Her breathing slowed, her world narrowing to the crosshairs in her HUD. This is it, she whispered, but the drone wasn't done. It climbed sharply, then dropped behind her with shocking speed, its eye adapting to her tactics. Missile lock detected. The warning screamed. Emily's mind flashed with Falcon's voice again. Never let them box you in, Ghost. Make them think they've won. She cut power, letting the Raptor stall for a terrifying heartbeat before yanking the throttle forward. The sudden drop caused the drone to overshoot her, losing its lock. Emily rolled back into position, now on its tail. Not so smart now, are you? She muttered. Her finger hovered over the missile trigger. But once again, she didn't fire. Too close to shore, she said to herself. I need it over open water. The commander's voice broke in, angry and fearful. Ghost Hawk, take. The shot before it's too late. Negative, she snapped. I've got a plan. A plan? Yeah. I make it think I'm losing. She throttled down, making subtle movements to mimic an inexperienced pilot. The drone, sensing weakness, moved aggressively, closing distance fast. Emily waited. Her heartbeat slowed, her breathing steady. She let it come closer. Come on, she whispered. Take the bait. The drone fired. Emily banked sharply, the missile narrowly missing her tail. The explosion lit up the sky behind her, but she didn't flinch. She'd drawn the drone far. Enough now, 50 miles out over open ocean. Ghost Hawk, you're clear of the coast, the radar tech confirmed. Her lips curled into a smile. Good. She flipped the Raptor into a roll, locking onto the drone with a precision that made her training officers, years ago, call her a natural-born ace. The tone of the missile lock filled her helmet. This is Ghost Hawk, she said, her voice calm but firm. Target acquired. But before she could fire, the drone pulled another impossible maneuver, launching decoys that split into 3 false signals on her radar. Emily narrowed her eyes. You think I don't see through that? She switched to heat signature tracking, isolating the real drone from its decoys. Her finger tightened on the trigger. This ends now. The Raptor roared like a beast unleashed as Emily pushed the throttle to maximum, her eyes burning with determination. The decoys vanished from her radar one by one as she filtered them out, zeroing in on the real drone. It wasn't just another machine, it was her adversary now, one that moved with uncanny intelligence. Every maneuver it made was sharper, faster, like it was learning her patterns and evolving mid-fight. Ghost Hawk, status? The commander's voice cracked over the comm. Locked on, Emily replied, her tone cold and measured. But this thing's smarter than anything I've faced. The drone cut sharply to the right, banking so hard that a less experienced pilot might have lost visual contact. Emily matched the move flawlessly, her body moving as if fused with the Raptor itself. The G-forces tugged at her, threatening to rip the breath from her lungs, but she welcomed the pain. It meant she was alive and in control, tracking target. She muttered under her breath, narrowing her eyes. "Let's see how you handle this." Emily rolled the Raptor into an inverted dive, descending toward the ocean. The drone followed, its sleek silhouette slicing through the sky like a black spear. The sea rushed up at them both, the glint of sunlight on the waves blinding. At the last second, Emily pulled up, skimming so close to the water that spray kissed the belly of her jet. The drone mimicked the move perfectly. "Damn," she hissed. "You're good, but I'm better." In the command tower, the recruits were glued to the radar. Each maneuver Emily pulled defied everything they'd learned. In training, she's dancing with it, one whispered. "She's controlling the fight," the older officer corrected. "That's Ghost Hawk's way. She doesn't just react, she leads." Emily cut hard left, then rolled into a corkscrew maneuver, the drone lagging. Just enough for her to gain the advantage. Her targeting system beeped lock achieved. Her thumb hovered over the trigger. "Fire, Ghost Hawk." The commander urged. "Not yet," she murmured. Her instincts screamed to wait. The drone suddenly veered upward, breaking the lock. Emily cursed, following it through the cloud cover. They burst into the clear blue sky, sunlight flooding her. "Cockpit, Ghost Hawk, don't let it outmaneuver you," the commander warned. "It won't," she said, her voice like steel. "Not while I'm breathing." Her Raptor climbed, wings slicing through the thin air at 40,000 feet. The drone shot past her, and she flipped the jet upside down, diving onto its tail. It was a battle of skill versus calculation, human instinct, against machine precision. For a moment, Emily's mind drifted back to Falcon. "Don't think like a soldier," he told her once. "Think like the sky. Own every inch of it." "Yeah, Falcon," she whispered. "I remember." The drone fired again, 2 missiles this time. Emily's HUD lit up with warning signals. Her pulse quickened, but her movements stayed calm. She dropped countermeasures, the bright flares exploding behind her like miniature suns. The first missile detonated harmlessly in the heat cloud. The second kept coming. Emily pulled a snap roll, the missile whizzing past her right wing by mere inches. The explosion rocked the Raptor, alarms shrieking. "Status, Ghost Hawk?" The tower demanded. "Still." "Flying," she said, gritting her teeth. "Barely." She pushed the jet harder, climbing until the Raptor's frame groaned under the stress. Her vision blurred at the edges, but she pressed on. The drone was close again, too close. "Come on," she muttered. "Show me your hand." The drone rose higher, as if to test her limits. Emily smirked. "Bad move." She rolled left, cutting power for a split second before slamming the throttle forward again. The drone hesitated for a fraction of a second, long enough for Emily to slip behind it. Lock acquired. Her targeting system chirped. "Take it, Ghost Hawk." "Firing," she said. The missile streaked from her Raptor like lightning, a white-hot trail cutting across the blue. It struck the drone's wing, blowing it off in a burst of smoke and flame. Cheers erupted in the control tower. She got it. But Emily's relief was short-lived. The drone, though damaged, didn't fall. Instead, it stabilized, its other systems compensating for the damage. Emily's eyes widened. "It's still flying? Finish it!" The commander yelled. "Trying," she said, pushing the Raptor into another pursuit. The drone was slower now, but still dangerous. It fired another volley, smaller missiles, like desperate strikes. Emily weaved through them with precision, her mind working faster than the machine could calculate. She fired again, but the drone dodged, spiraling away. This thing won't. Guy, Emily muttered, sweat dripping down her temple. You're the only one who can stop it, the commander said. Do whatever it takes. Emily's grip tightened. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was personal. The drone represented every ghost from her past, every battle she'd run from. And she wasn't going to let it win. All right, she whispered. Let's end this. She rolled the Raptor into a dive, pulling a high-speed pursuit maneuver she'd only attempted once in her career, a move that required absolute trust in her instincts. Ghost Hawk, what are you doing? Something insane, she said, grinning despite herself. The Raptor and the drone screamed through the sky, a deadly dance of speed and precision. The world around Emily blurred. The air felt alive, vibrating with the energy of the chase dot. This was it, the moment Ghost Hawk was born for. The sky was a battlefield, a wild canvas of smoke trails and burning air. Emily's Raptor dove after the crippled but deadly drone, its damaged wings sparking like a dying star. She knew it wouldn't go down easily. If anything, its eye would become more dangerous the closer it came to defeat. Machines didn't know fear. They didn't hesitate. Ghost Hawk, report. The commander demanded over the comms. Emily's eyes stayed locked on the drone. It's wounded, but still fighting, she said. I'm taking it down, no matter what it takes. On the ground, silence filled the control room. Everyone knew what her words meant. She was ready to risk everything, her jet, her life, everything. She'd sworn she'd left behind. The older officer crossed his arms, watching her blip on the radar. She won't back down, he muttered. She's always been like this. Ghost Hawk doesn't run. Emily pushed the throttle, the Raptor surging ahead like a living thing, every vibration humming through her bones. Her mind was sharp, alive with calculation. Falcon's voice echoed faintly in her head. When you're outnumbered or outgunned, don't fight the enemy on their terms. Rewrite the fight. Rewrite the fight, she whispered, and then her lips curled into a grin. The drone veered sharply toward her, firing a burst of guided munitions. Emily rolled hard left, then climbed steeply into the sunlight. The missiles tracked her heat signature, closing fast. Instead of fleeing, she slowed slightly, letting them gain. Her hands danced over the controls as she executed a high speed. Barrel roll and dumped countermeasures. 2 missiles veered off, detonating harmlessly. The third stayed locked. Ghost Hawk, you've got one on your 6. A radar tech shouted. Not for long, Emily replied. She cut power suddenly, letting the missile close the gap, then kicked the Raptor into a sharp upward climb. The missile followed blindly, overshooting her at the top of the climb before detonating in a burst of fire high above the clouds. Emily's jet rocked from the shockwave, but she stabilized it with practiced ease. She's insane, one of the recruits whispered in awe. She's brilliant, the older officer corrected, a faint smile tugging at his lips. The drone looped around, coming straight at her. For a split second, it felt like a game of chicken, machine versus human. Emily's jaw tightened. All right, let's end this, you stubborn piece of metal. She dove head-on toward it, the 2 crafts closing at terrifying speed. Alarms blared in her cockpit, warning her of collision. Her breathing slowed. Every nerve in her body screamed to pull up, but she didn't. Not yet. Ghost Hawk, pull away now. The commander roared. Not yet, she muttered. Closer. The drone's silhouette filled her canopy. At the last possible second, Emily rolled her jet and fired a burst from her Vulcan cannon. The rounds ripped through the drone's fuselage, shredding part of its sensors. The 2 crafts barely missed colliding as they screamed past each other. Yes, she growled. The drone was hurt now, wobbling slightly as its eyes struggled to adjust, but it wasn't down. It swung around, firing another barrage of mini-missiles. Emily weaved through them, every move sharper, faster, almost inhuman. Ghost Hawk was fully alive now. The part of her she tried to bury bursting through like wildfire. "You're not walking away from this," she whispered to the drone. "Neither of us are." The commander's voice cut in, tight with worry. "Ghost Hawk, you're burning fuel. You need to disengage and regroup." "No," she said firmly. "This ends here?" Emily pushed the Raptor into a vertical climb, heading straight for the upper atmosphere. The drone followed, its eye relentless. At 50,000 feet, the air thinned and her oxygen alarms chirped. Sweat dripped down her temple as her breathing quickened. Inside the mask, "Ghost Hawk, what's your plan?" the commander demanded. She smiled grimly. "Something Falcon taught me." She rolled the Raptor into a corkscrew, cutting power while diving at an angle that would force the drone to overshoot. The move was brutal, slamming her body against the harness. Black spots danced at the edges of her vision from the Gi forces, but it worked. The drone slipped ahead of her. Exposed. Emily lined it up in her crosshairs. "Got you," she muttered. Her voice low and steady. She fired a Sidewinder missile. It streaked through the sky, striking the drone's rear thruster. The explosion tore the drone apart, scattering burning fragments across the sky. She did it. A recruit shouted in the control tower. The room erupted into cheers. But Emily didn't cheer. Her HUD lit up with alerts. The blast wave had damaged. Her own Raptor system's one engine was failing, and hydraulic pressure was dropping fast. "Ghost Hawk, you're hit," the commander shouted. "Eject now." "No," she said, teeth gritted. "I can land it." The drone was gone, but her fight wasn't over. Her Raptor was shaking violently, warning alarms blaring. The ocean below looked endless, unforgiving. She had minutes, maybe less, to decide her next move. "Ghost Hawk, talk to me," the commander said, his voice laced with fear. "I'm bringing her home," Emily replied. Her tone was steady, but her heart pounded like a war drum. In that moment, she realized something profound. She hadn't lost Ghost Hawk. She hadn't buried her. She'd just forgotten who she truly was, a pilot who never gave up, even when the odds were impossible. "Falcon," she whispered softly. "I'm not done yet." She pulled the Raptor into a slow turn, aiming for the distant airbase. Smoke coiled from the Raptor's left engine like a dark ribbon against the bright sky. Emily's breathing slowed as she adjusted the controls, fighting the tremors in the jet. The damage was severe. Hydraulics were bleeding out, and the flight systems screamed with every maneuver. "Ghost Hawk, your left engine is done," the commander's voice said, sharp and frantic. "You won't make the runway in this condition. Eject now." "Negative," Emily replied, her voice calm, almost cold. "I'm not leaving her out here. This bird isn't going down over the ocean." On the ground, the control tower fell into tense silence. The recruits stared at the radar screen, wide-eyed. "Why won't she eject?" One whispered. The older officer answered without hesitation. "Because she's Ghost Hawk. She's not built to run. If she can bring that jet back, she will, no matter the cost." Emily's hands tightened around the controls, her gloves slick with sweat. She'd landed damaged aircraft before, but this was different. The Raptor wasn't just limping, it was dying beneath her. Every vibration rattled her bones. Every warning alarm, a reminder that one wrong move could send her spiraling into the ocean. She tilted the jet toward the coast, scanning for the faint glint of the runway. Her heart pounded harder than it had. During the fight itself, this wasn't about skill anymore. It was about survival. "Ghost Hawk, you're less than 5 minutes out," the tower relayed. "Do you copy?" "Copy," she said, her jaw set. "Clear the runway. I'm coming in heavy." Already done, the commander replied, his voice taut with worry. Every emergency crew is on standby. Just don't you dare give up. Emily's lips twitched into a faint, grim smile. Ghost Hawk doesn't give up. She thought of Falcon. His laughter in the cockpit, his fearless dives into enemy skies. His final words. You're the only one who can pull this off. Guess I still can, she muttered. The coastline appeared below, the runway stretching like a thin scar across the earth. She adjusted her trajectory, compensating for the failing hydraulics. The Raptor bucked and fought her, but she held. Steady, coaxing it like a wounded animal. Hydraulics at 30%. The onboard system droned. Emily ignored it. You'll hold together for me, won't you? She whispered to the jet. Just a little longer. The tower buzzed again. Ghost Hawk, you're coming in too fast. Reduce speed. Can't, Emily replied. If I throttle down any more, she'll drop out of the sky. Understood, the commander said. His voice softened. Then we'll be ready for you. The base crews scrambled across the tarmac. Fire trucks lined the edge of the runway, and medics waited with stretchers. The recruits, who had once seen her as just another instructor, now stood silent, eyes locked on the horizon. She's really going to try it, one murmured. She's not just trying, the older officer said. She's coming home. Emily lined up with the runway. Her altitude dropped rapidly as she cut the remaining engine to half throttle, balancing power against gravity. The cockpit shuddered violently. Warning lights flared red across her panel. Pull it together, she whispered, teeth gritted. Come on, girl. Don't quit on me now. The ground rushed up. At 200 feet, her jet wobbled dangerously. She fought the controls with every ounce of strength she had left, her arms trembling from the strain. At 100 feet, the alarm screamed that she was descending too fast. She ignored them all. The Raptor's landing gear deployed with a groan. Emily eased the nose upward, bleeding speed as the wheels hit the runway with a jarring slam. The jet skidded, sparks flying as the damaged hydraulics struggled to stabilize it. Brake, brake, she muttered. The Raptor veered slightly, its wounded frame threatening to spin out, but she held the controls firm. Her teeth clenched as the runway blurred beneath her. When the jet finally screeched to a halt, the silence was deafening. Emily exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Tower, she said, her voice ragged but steady. Ghost Hawk is home. The control room erupted in cheers. Officers and recruits alike leapt to their feet, clapping and shouting. But the older officer just smiled, his eyes soft. Told you, he said. She never lost it. The canopy lifted slowly, and Emily climbed out of the cockpit, her flight suit soaked with sweat. Fire crews rushed to inspect the smoking engine. But all she did was rest her hand on the battered fuselage, giving it a gentle pat. You did good, girl, she murmured to the jet. The commander strode up to her, his face a mixture of fury and awe. Do you have any idea how insane that was? Emily smirked faintly. Insane gets results. The recruits approached cautiously, their expressions a mix of fear and admiration. One finally spoke. Ma'am? Are you really Ghost Hawk? Emily looked at him, her eyes steady. I was, and maybe I still am. The older officer chuckled. She's Ghost Hawk, all right? Always was. Emily glanced at the horizon, where smoke from the destroyed drone still lingered faintly. For the first time in years, she felt whole. The ghosts of her past didn't haunt her. They guided her. Commander, she said softly, if they ever send another one of those drones, you know where to find me. The commander nodded slowly. We'd be lucky to have you in the sky again. Emily smiled, faint but genuine. The sky's where I belong. The recruits stared at her with newfound respect as she walked across. The tarmac, her silhouette outlined by the fading sun. Ghost Hawk wasn't just a call sign. It was a promise, a reminder that no matter how broken or forgotten, true warriors never stop flying. The end.